Alright, so how you start is you have this picture and you're given that lines A and B are parallel. And what you have to prove is that the interior angles of this triangle, which in this case would be 2, 5, and 6, add to 180 degrees. So you start out with your given, which is lines A and B are parallel. And the reason for that would be given. And from what we've learned from line and angle relationships, you know that the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 4 are going to equal 180 because they are same side interior angles. If this was the transversal and these were the two parallel lines, they would be considered same side interior angles. And the same thing goes for the measure of angles 3 and 7. They're going to equal 180. Now, to get to this one, you can see that angles 4 and 5 are a linear pair, meaning they also add to 180, and they're adjacent. So you know that you can take the measure of angle 1 and the measure of angle 4 and put it on one side of the equation, and the measure of angle 4 and the measure of angle 5 and put it on the other side of the equation, because they're both equal to 180. Then you know that you can do anything to one side as long as you do it to the other, which is a property of equality. And in this case, we're using the subtraction property of equality because you subtract the measure of angle 4 from each side of the equation, and you're left with the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 5. Now you can also do the same thing that you just did here with the measure of angles 3 and 7 and 6 and 7, because you know that these are a linear pair. So you would put the measure of angle 3 plus the measure of angle 7 on one side, and the measure of angle 6 plus the measure of angle 7 on the other side, because they're both equal to 180. Then you can use your subtraction property of equality and subtract the measure of angle 7 from each side. Then you're left with the fact that the measure of angle 3 is equal to the measure of angle 6. Now, you can see from the picture that the angles 1, 2, and 3 are supplementary angles, meaning they add to 180. From everything that you've proved here, you write out the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 is equal to 180 because they're supplementary angles. And from all the work that you've done here, you know that you can substitute the measure of angle 5 in for the measure of angle 1 because they're equal. And then plus the measure of angle 2 because that's also an interior angle. And you know that you can substitute the measure of angle 6 in for the measure of angle 3 because they're equal. So you're left with the measure of angle 5 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 6 is equal to 180, and you can get that through substitution.